Welcome back to Living Local. What do you think of when you hear Salvation Army? If you're like most people, you probably think of the traditional red kettles you see at Christmas time. And what do you know about the Salvation Army? You probably know they've been around a long time and that they're in the business of helping people. But there is so much more to know about this organization than meets the eye. Joining me in studio is the Quad Cities coordinator with the Salvation Army, Major Scott Shelbourne. Thank you so much for being here, Scott.
Thanks for having me out today.
So for people who may not be familiar with the Salvation Army, give us a little bit about the history of this organization.
Well, we've been around since 1865 and started in London, England, and came over to the United States from there. Currently, the Salvation Army is in 130 countries around the world. And so we try to do the most good in every community where we're located.
And how long have you been in our community, the Quad Cities?
About 125 years, so we've been around for a long time.
And Scott, how did you personally get involved with the Salvation Army?
Well, you know, my background's in medical electronics, and I was helping the Salvation Army out as a volunteer, and I really felt God calling me into a different way to help people and a different way to minister to people. And I found the practical ministries of the Salvation Army to really gel with my faith, and so I just decided to take the leap along with my wife and become a Salvation Army officer.
And that actually leads in really well to my next question, is that Salvation Army, it was core built on Christian principles. So how much does the church still play in the mission of the Salvation Army?
Well, in the Quad Cities, we have two of our core community centers, which is where we house our houses of worship. And they both have worship times on Sunday, just like every other church. But along with that, we do all the practical ministries of the Salvation Army, the social services, helping people with rent and food, utility assistance. We have youth programs, senior programs, all kinds of things to help people build in their character and moral values.
How can people take advantages of those services that you just mentioned?
Well, they can go to the salvationarmyqc.org, and all the links to our websites all around the Quad Cities, along with our adult rehabilitation center where we're helping men get out of drug and alcohol addiction. All of those things are listed on our website, but then you can go directly to the core community websites or stuff like that and see how you can volunteer or get involved a little bit.
Scott, you guys offer so many services. So as you've been involved with Salvation Army, talking locally here in the Quad Cities, what do you think are some major issues that the Salvation Army is trying to resolve?
Well, one of the things that I've been here just a little under 2 years, and when I was moved here, one of the things I recognized right away was, although the Salvation Army was running the big shelter on Harrison Street, 6th and Harrison, that we were helping a lot of people, but what really people needed was to have a stopgap before they became homeless. So that's why last year we decided to start changing how we help people in the Quad Cities. We sold that large building, bought a smaller building so that we could take the funds that was operating that large shelter and help more people to stay in their homes rather than need shelter. And so just a quick statistic, right now we're still sheltering people. We're sheltering 20 families from around the Quad Cities in hotel rooms and other places to get them to a point of a sustainable future. But more than that, in January, we helped 21 individuals and families stay in their homes so they didn't need shelter. And that's a greater statistic. It's something that we weren't able to do before because of the cost of running that large building. So now we're helping, instead of just sheltering people, we're helping people stay in their homes if that's what's adequate for them, and then help them get over the little financial hurdles that may have caused the hiccups in their life so that they can keep on a sustainable future for their families.
So Scott, the Salvation Army has been around since the 1800s. So the mission is doing the most good. How do you think the approach to that mission has changed over the generations?
It really hasn't changed. William Booth saw the down and out and the alcoholics and the ladies in prostitution and wanted to help them understand that there's a God who loves them. And so his initial motto was soup, soap, and salvation. So you can't really help someone unless they have a full belly and they're clean and then they can understand that there's a greater purpose in life. And so the Salvation Army keeps on that mission today. We're helping people with food, we're helping clean them up, help them stay in their homes and get to a sustainable future. And if the opportunity arises, then we tell them why we're doing that, and that's because we know God loves them just as much as He loves us.
Soup, soap, and salvation. I never knew that. That's so interesting, and it's great to see that you guys are staying true to what principles were founded for the Salvation Army. And you guys actually also have a Make a Difference campaign. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it used to be called the Red Kettle Campaign in the Quad Cities, but that kind of didn't, when I came here, it didn't really quite encompass everything that the Salvation Army is doing in the Quad Cities. And I didn't want people simply to focus on the red kettles, because, and if you were looking at our sign out on Brady Street in Kimberly, you saw that we also added another goal, which was volunteerism, a volunteering goal. So we switched the campaign name to Make a Difference, because whether you're able to give $1 through the mail or a website, or put money in a red kettle, or volunteer time, we want people to know that they're really making a difference in the community by helping the Salvation Army.
I like that name change a lot. And you guys have actually recently opened a new facility at Brady and Kirkwood. Tell us about how that enhances your mission.
Well, again, it takes us from operating this really large building and only sheltering people to allow us to meet communities' needs in new ways. So before, we weren't helping that much with rent assistance, or again, preventing homelessness, or helping people with utilities, but now we're able to do all that. So as community needs changes, the switch in our format and over there to Brady and Kirkwood allows us to do that. So if community needs change from needing preventing homelessness to some other need, we're able to go with that change and be able to be right there to help the needs of the community.
And how can people give back to this organization? How can they get involved?
Again, they can go to the website, salvationarmyqc.org. There's all kinds of information there about what we're doing, stories about folks we've helped. But more than that, they can sign up to be a volunteer, or of course there's always a donate button there, and they can donate resources which stay local and help people throughout the Quad Cities area.
What do those volunteer opportunities look like? What will people actually be doing?
They can volunteer to help with the food pantry that happens at 3 of our locations around the Quad Cities. They can help out with youth programs and be a youth leader. They can help out with senior programs. My wife, who runs the Davenport Core Community Center out in West Central Park, just started a Lego club at the Fairmont Library that happens on Tuesdays. So they could go and help her, help kids learn moral lessons and build Legos. So there's lots of opportunities for folks to help.
Great. Scott, thank you so much for the information and for being here.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. If you would like some more information, you can call Bill at 563-324-4808, or you can email him at bill_horrell@usc.salvationarmy.org. We'll also have these details posted on ourquadcities.com. More Living Local is next.